Howdy. Welcome. If you are watching this series, you are probably already at least a little familiar with the incredible events that took place on October 13th, 1917 in Fatima, Portugal. For those of you who are not, well, here's a brief introduction. At noon on October 13th, 1917, a crowd of between 40 and 100,000 people, including the three Fatima Seers, Lucia dos Santos, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗃 Marto, and Jacinta Marto. They witnessed an event so shocking, news of it spread across the world. The event was so incredible, it has cemented itself as one of, if not the most credible, examples of modern miracle known to man. These witnesses gathered in a large, rain-soaked field saw the noonday sun roll from left to right, dancing out of its predictable orbit, then drew close to the crowd, stopping above a small tree in the middle of the field. While it moved, the sun changed colors, changing from yellow to red and every other color in the rainbow. Then it returned back to yellow as it drew close to the tree. The witnesses all claim to have been able to look at the sun without pain. The sun was so hot that the field was reported to have dried within minutes. And the thousands of people who witnessed this event all claim to have left the area that day with their rain-soaked clothes completely dry. Now, I'm going to pause for just a second because something just occurred to me. You're watching this video because you love hearing miraculous stories about Our Lady's love. But what about when you're away from your phone and computer or whatever screen you're watching this on? What about when you want to get away from the internet, but you still want to learn about our Lord and Our Lady? Well, let me introduce you to 𝗖𝗿𝗄𝐿 magazine. 𝗖𝗿𝗄𝐿 magazine is a beautiful, fully color, fully Catholic magazine filled with stories about the saints, cutting edge and current Catholic news, prayer suggestions, and so much more. We at America Needs Fatima designed 𝗖𝗿𝗄𝐿 magazine to be a way for you to be inspired, informed, and spiritually fulfilled, especially when you want to get away from your electronics. When you sign up to become one of our Child of Mary members, you automatically receive a 𝗖𝗿𝗄𝐿 magazine subscription as one of your gifts. So if you want pages and pages of Catholic content at your fingertips, well, click the link in the description down below to become a Child of Mary and have 𝗖𝗿𝗄𝐿 magazine delivered straight to your door. Okay, back to our story. All claim to have left the area that day with their rain-soaked clothes completely dry. How did this happen? Why was Fatima, Portugal chosen to be the location of such an incredible event? Central to this miracle were the three Fatima Seers, Lucia, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗃, and Jacinta, who received visitations from the Blessed Virgin Mary. Their stories have been told many times and heard by millions of believers. However, their stories are only part of the incredible event. There were thousands of secret witnesses to the Fatima miracle, each of whose eyewitness reports dispel some of the mysteries behind this miracle. Come with me now as we explore this great mystery and meet the secret witnesses of Fatima. This is Dominic Reyes, an American citizen from 𝗖𝗿𝗂𝘀, Massachusetts, who was living with his father and mother near Porto, Portugal at the time of the miracle. Porto, Portugal was the second largest city in Portugal at the time, and one of the Iberian Peninsula's major urban areas. Many of the households of witnesses to the October 13th miracle lived in or around Porto and made the over 100-mile journey from Porto to Fatima to witness the event. Many of the witnesses to the miracle experienced the event from over 600 miles away, and we'll explore what they saw later in the series. For now, one of these things that makes Dominic's testimony so compelling is that he was less than half a mile away from the sun as it danced through the sky and eventually settled on the tree in the middle of the field. Dominic was interviewed on television in the early 1960s by the author of the book, John Haffert, that much of this series is based on.
And then the sun started to roll like dancing from one place to another place. And we see the sun come towards where the shield and where the tree.
What follows is an exact transcript of this interview.
Did you hear that a miracle was predicted to take place at Fatima?
My father heard of it first. It was in papers all over the country.
How far from Fatima do you live, Dominic?
I lived at that time near Porto, over 100 miles away.
Were there very many people interested?
Yes. Suppose I explain from the beginning. I was 17 in May when it all began. Then in October on the 11th, 1917, my father said to my mother, "We're going to Fatima. We're going to see what happens." Lots of people thought it was a lie. The government didn't believe it either. But lots of people, like my father and mother, were all sensible in religion. My father said, "We're going up." On the 12th, we left at 9 o'clock. Here in Dominic's testimony, we see evidence that the local government surrounding Fatima were resistant to the idea of any citizens traveling to see a miracle being performed. In 1910, Portugal was swept with a revolution that placed an atheistic, communistic form of government in control of Portugal. By 1919, when the miracle of the sun happened, this government had ruled for 7 years and taught that religion was the opiate of the masses. It was terrified of the threat that a unified Catholic Portugal posed to their rule.
Were there many people from your area that went to Fatima?
Yes, the train was full.
Was the prediction of this miracle announced in the church?
The church said nothing at all. They were against it. If any priest said anything about Fatima, even maybe something would happen to him. Some churches in the area of Fatima were marred, stones thrown, anything to break down the coming of the people.
When did you finally get to the 𝗂𝗲𝗃?
We got there around noontime, between 11:30 to around noontime. When we finally got there were soldiers. Everywhere we saw animals, trees, bushes. Very rough. And this National Guard, what we would call weekend soldiers, tried to stop us from going down into the 𝗂𝗲𝗃. The 𝗂𝗲𝗃 that Dominic is talking about is the 𝗗𝗲𝗃𝗶. Today it is a site of the sanctuary of Our Lady of Fatima, but in 1917 it was the rain-soaked field that served as a stage of Our Lady's miracle of the sun. In this diagram you can see the spot of the apparition and the tree under which the three seers stood. Using the testimony from our secret witnesses, we know exactly where many of them stood as they witnessed the miracle. This is where Dominic stood next to his family in the 𝗂𝗲𝗃.
The crowd was too great for the soldiers to hold?
The crowd was breaking in one corner. When the soldiers moved to protect that corner, another corner broke out. First thing you know, everybody got through.
Did the soldiers finally give up?
What happened because they couldn't control the crowd.
So, you finally got down into the 𝗂𝗲𝗃 with the crowd. And where did you go?
We got close to the tree where the children were. The three children we had heard about were already there. These three children Dominic is mentioning were the three Fatima Seers, Lucia dos Santos, Francisca, and Jacinta Marto. They had witnessed several miracles and visitations from heaven before this day in October 1917, and word of them has started to spread across Portugal, drawing the enormous crowds that joined Dominic in the 𝗂𝗲𝗃 on October 13th. On this side was a big tree, and the little small trees around, and the children were there, and now it was raining harder. There was a good 3 inches of water where I stood, and mud on the ground.
3 inches of water on the ground?
Yes, 3 inches of water on the ground. I was soaking wet. Then, around noontime, the sun started breaking. We could see the sun. Now, it was raining, just like you open a faucet at your house. Rain. And then suddenly the rain stopped. The sun started to roll from one place to another place and changed to blue, yellow, all colors. We see the sun come toward the children, toward the tree. Everybody was hollering out. Some started to confess their sins. Even my mother grabbed me to her and started to cry, saying, "It is the end of the world." This is where we have to end this week's episode. Come back for part 2 when Dominic describes what he saw next and reveals more about the secret witnesses of Fatima.
Every new Child of Mary member gets a subscription to Crusade magazine as one of their gifts when they join. Become a Child of Mary today by clicking right here on your screen. As soon as you join, we will start sending this beautiful and spiritual Catholic magazine straight to your front door. Thank you, and may God bless you.